On the battlefield of Kurukshetra, somewhere in ancient India, a warrior drops his bow. His name is Arjuna. He is standing between two armies, his family on both sides, and he has decided he cannot fight. What happens next is one of the strangest moments in world literature. A god, Krishna, disguised as his chariot driver, does not tell him to fight, not yet. First, he describes the structure of reality. In chapter 13 of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna introduces a distinction that quantum mechanics would spend a century trying to formalize. He calls it Kshetra and Kshetrajna, the field and the knower of the field. Everything that can be observed, matter, energy, thought, sensation, is the field. The awareness within which all of that appears is the knower of the field. Krishna is describing on a battlefield, to a man in crisis, the relationship between consciousness and the physical world. Two other ancient texts describe the same relationship from completely different civilizations. With the same structural properties, quantum field theory describes the universe as a set of fields permeating all of space simultaneously. Every particle is a vibration in an underlying field. That field has properties physics currently assigns to it. It is omnipresent, present everywhere at once. It is the source of all matter and energy. It is prior to all observable phenomena. Things arise from it, not the reverse. And then there is a fourth property, one physics has not yet confirmed but keeps running into. The act of observation appears to play a fundamental role in determining what the field becomes. Three ancient texts describe a field with the first three properties confirmed, and the fourth stated with complete certainty. The Bhagavad Gita was composed in ancient India. Scholars debate the exact period, with estimates ranging from the 5th century BCE to the 2nd century CE. It is not a treatise on physics. It is a conversation between a warrior and a god about why the warrior should re-enter a battle he has decided is morally unbearable. And yet embedded in that conversation is a description of reality's structure that physicists would recognize 23 centuries later. Krishna tells Arjuna, "This body is called the field, O son of Kunti. He who knows this is called the knower of the field, by those who know." The field Kshetra is everything that can be observed, not just the body, all phenomena, matter, energy, thought, sensation, emotion, everything that arises and passes away. The knower of the field Kshetrajna is not a phenomenon. It is the awareness within which all phenomena appear. It does not arise. It does not pass away. It is the witness. Krishna develops this distinction through two Sanskrit terms that map the observer-field relationship with extraordinary precision. Prakriti, primordial nature. Everything observable, all particles, all forces, all phenomena. The Gita extends this further than quantum field theory does. Prakriti includes not only matter and energy, but also mind, ego, and intellect. All of these in the Gita's framework are part of the field, not the observer, the observed. Purusha, pure consciousness, the awareness that observes Prakriti, not produced by Prakriti. Prior to it, the ground from which it arises. Chapter 13, verse 19. Know that Prakriti and Purusha are both beginningless. Know that all transformations and qualities arise from Prakriti. Purusha is declared to be the cause of the experience of pleasure and pain. Purusha dwelling in Prakriti experiences the qualities born of Prakriti. The field generates all phenomena, Consciousness dwells within the field, experiencing it, but is not produced by it. This is the distinction quantum mechanics encounters. When it finds that the observer cannot be removed from the measurement, the Gita does not present this as a problem. It presents it as the fundamental architecture of reality. Beneath both Prakriti and Purusha, the Gita describes one more level. Brahman, the ultimate ground, not the field alone, not consciousness alone, the single reality that appears as both. Chapter 13, verse 13, I will describe that which is to be known, knowing which one attains immortality. It is the supreme Brahman beginningless, said to be neither being nor non-being, with hands and feet everywhere. It stands, encompassing all in the world. Omnipresent, encompassing all, source of all phenomena, the ground of both field and observer, prior to everything beginningless, and conscious because consciousness is not separate from it. The Gita describes a unified field, with every property modern physics assigns to it, plus the one property physics has not yet resolved. Here is what makes the Gita's description remarkable. It is not offered as a cosmological theory, it is offered as practical instruction. Krishna is describing the structure of reality, so that Arjuna can act from it. Kshetra and Kshetrajna is not an abstract distinction. It is the basis for nishkama karma, action without attachment to outcome, because the knower of the field does not need to control the field's phenomena. The physics describes the structure. The Gita derives a practice from it. That is the difference between a theory and a teaching. The Gita did not invent this framework. It inherited it. The Upanishads, composed centuries earlier, between approximately 800 and 200 BCE, are the source texts the Gita draws from. The convergence between them is expected. But the Upanishads state what the Gita implies, without the battlefield, without the narrative, without any concession to drama. The Isha Upanishad, one of the shortest and oldest, opens with a statement of total saturation. All this, whatever exists in this changing universe, should be covered by the Lord. That which pervades all cannot be confined to any single form. Omnipresent, source of all, prior to all, the same three properties. And then the Upanishads add what the Gita builds toward. Tat Tvam Asi, you are that. The observer is the field, not connected to it, not produced by it, identical with it. The Gita and the Upanishads agree from within the same tradition, on the structure of reality and the place of consciousness within it. That convergence is expected. What follows is not. Two texts from the same tradition, agreeing on a cosmological framework, is not evidence of a universal truth. It is evidence of a shared intellectual inheritance. The Gita draws from the Upanishads. They share Sanskrit, they share concepts, they share a philosophical lineage stretching back millennia. For the convergence to mean something beyond cultural transmission, it needs an independent witness, a text from a different civilization, a different language, a different method of inquiry. The Tao Te Ching should be the text that breaks the pattern. The Tao Te Ching was composed in ancient China, approximately the 4th century BCE. Different civilization, different cosmology, different language. No documented philosophical exchange, with the Indian traditions at the level of core cosmology. Everything about the Tao Te Ching says it should describe a different reality than the Gita and the Upanishads. It does not. Where the Gita names Brahman, Prakriti, and Purusha, and the Upanishads name Akasha, Atman, and Brahman, the Tao Te Ching deliberately withholds the name. Chapter 32. The Tao is forever undefined. Small though it is in its unformed state, it cannot be grasped by the world. forever undefined, cannot be grasped. The Tao Te Ching does not describe the field as one phenomenon among others. It describes the field as the limit of description itself. The Tao Te Ching confirms the same properties, but its method of confirmation is the most distinctive of the three texts. The Gita argues. The Upanishads assert. The Tao Te Ching points and withdraws. Omnipresent. Chapter 34. The great Tao flows everywhere, both to the left and to the right. Source of all phenomena. Chapter 51. The Tao gives them life. Virtue nourishes them. Prior to all phenomena. Chapter 21. From the very beginning its name has not been absent. Present before anything that could name it. And the fourth property, consciousness? The Tao Te Ching does not state it directly. It enacts it. The entire text is written from inside the field, not about the Tao, as the Tao. That is its most radical move, and the one quantum mechanics has not yet learned how to make. Before we place the three texts side by side, take one breath, not for any practice, not for any technique, simply because what follows deserves a moment of attention. The Gita argues from the structure of Prakriti and Purusha that the field is omnipresent, beginningless, and conscious. The Upanishads assert through direct declaration that Brahman is all this, and you are that. The Tao Te Ching points and withdraws, saying only that the Tao flows everywhere, gives life to all things, and cannot be named. Three methods, three civilisations: argument, assertion, and silence. The same four properties of the field, three confirmed by physics. The fourth, that consciousness is not separate from the field, stated by all three texts with complete certainty, and left by physics as an open question. Here is what the convergence implies. Two of these texts share a tradition. The Gita draws from the Upanishads. Their agreement is expected. The Tao Te Ching shares nothing with either. Its convergence is the evidence. A field that is omnipresent, the source of all phenomena, prior to all phenomena, and inseparable from consciousness, described by a Chinese text that had no access to the Indian philosophical framework, that describes the same field in different terms. That is not pattern matching. That is two independent investigations, conducted by careful, sustained inquiry, arriving at the same result. Quantum field theory describes a field with the first three properties these texts describe: omnipresent, source of all matter, prior to phenomena. The fourth property, consciousness, is where physics and the ancient texts diverge. Physics treats consciousness as a problem, the observer problem, the measurement problem, the hard problem, three names for one locked door. The Gita treats consciousness not as a problem, but as the knower of the field. The Upanishads identify it with the field. The Tao Te Ching writes from within it. Three texts standing on the other side of the door that physics is still pressing against. Here is what makes the Gita's treatment different from every other description of the field, ancient or modern. The Gita does not stop at description. It derives a practice. Nishkama karma action without attachment to outcome. If you are the knower of the field, if your awareness is not a phenomenon, but the ground within which phenomena arise, then you can act within the field, without being controlled by the field's outcomes. Not passivity, not detachment from life, full engagement with life, from the position of the witness, rather than the position of the phenomenon. Krishna does not describe the structure of reality as an intellectual exercise. He describes it so that Arjuna can pick up his bow. The physics describes the field. The Gita teaches you how to live in it. Arjuna stood on a battlefield between two armies and was given a description of the structure of reality. The field and the knower of the field, Prakriti and Purusha, the named and the unnamed Tao. 3 texts, 2 civilisations, the same field. The Bhagavad Gita says, "He who knows the field and the knower of the field, he truly knows." The Upanishads say, "You are that." The Tao Te Ching says nothing. It simply points and withdraws. Arjuna had to decide what to do once he understood the structure of reality. That decision, what you do once you know, the observer and the field are not separate, is not answered by any of these 3 texts. It is answered by what you do next. Ancient wisdom, quantum proof, direct knowing. This is quantum gnosis.